Let's try this one more time. Welcome to the Midlife Crisis. I just saw a video, and I didn't get to see the person filming the video. Apparently this person is kind of chubby. I'll say why I said that in a minute. But I did get to see the person who was being filmed. So apparently the situation is this church leader, older lady, chubby herself, decides to follow a young girl into the bathroom and give her some clothing advice on what chubby girls should wear to look presentable. Now, I've made a video about a similar subject before in the past, but I didn't hit the other side of it, and I like to be fair. The video in the past is going to echo what I'm about to say right now as far as the chubby girl, because when the church leader tells the girl, hey, chubby girls should wear this and that and another thing to look presentable, the girl filming says, are you calling me fat? And the church leader says, well, do you think you're not? And the girl filming responds by saying, no, I don't, because I love myself. And then proceeds to start getting upset and crying and telling the lady to get the fuck out of her face and leave her alone and so on and so forth. So to the lady filming, this is the part where I said it echoes a previous film. Two things can be true at the same time. You and everybody else on this planet should love themselves. And if you're not at a point where you love yourself, you need to get there. You need to get to a point where you can actually love yourself. I believe that until you love yourself, you can't necessarily love anybody else. You may not understand what it is to love somebody else fully until you can get to the point where you love yourself. However, loving yourself doesn't stop you from being fat. If you're fat, you're fat. You can still love yourself while being fat. You should love yourself while being fat. But it doesn't stop you from being fat. Doesn't stop anybody else from seeing that you're fat. You're fat. There's nothing that we can do about that, folks. Something you can do about it, but it's nothing we can do about it. Again, am I saying that you should feel bad because you're fat? Hell no. Am I saying that something's wrong with you because you're fat? Hell no. If you want to be fat, but love yourself. The reason why I'm making that a point is because if somebody calls you fat and it brings you to tears, then there's something that you're not necessarily saying. There's a part that does upset you when someone calls you fat. That suggests that you're not as in love with yourself as you think you are. Because if somebody calls me tall, I'm like, thanks. Because I'm in love with being tall. It's actually one of the features that I can't control, but if you notice it and it's like, hey, you're tall, thanks. Even if they're trying to say it to me in a derogatory way, like you tall asshole or whatever, thanks, I'm tall. I love myself being tall, I'm good with it. But if somebody, says something about you, anything, fat, tall, skinny, short, black, white, whatever, and you get upset about it, you might want to look inward. And I'm really saying that not facetiously, but seriously, you might want to look inward, because it could be something that you haven't really settled with yourself, even though you're telling yourself that you have, that you need to deal with. If the lady, follows you into the bathroom and calls you fat or chubby and says you need to wear some different stuff or whatever, if you're really okay with yourself, you can just kind of take that comment and be like, all right, you might want to mind your business, and you can go about your day. I'm not saying that you should be happy about her comment. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have said get the fuck out of her face. I think she responded perfectly, honestly. And that'll lead into the second part of this, the fair part of this. But for the young lady filming, if it's upsetting you that much, you might want to look into yourself to see what that's really about. Was it really about, her just following you into the bathroom and you felt threatened? That could possibly be. But could you be harboring some feelings about your image that you're not necessarily being okay with, and you're pacifying yourself by saying that you love yourself, but you're not really okay with the image that you're projecting? If so, you're the only one who can do something about that, and I'll leave that there. However, let's talk about the fat bitch following her into the bathroom. Now, the fact that she's a church leader, notwithstanding, all of the comments made something about, why people shouldn't go to churches, and this is why they left churches and things like that. And I get it. I get it. To the church aspect of this, I would say stop hiding behind God. Don't use God as an excuse for you to be a bigot, an asshole, racist, or anything else. God ain't like that. Most of us have never met God, so we really don't know what God is like other than what we read from whatever religious text that we happen to be studying at the moment. So don't use that as a reason to go and chase a girl into the bathroom to tell her that she needs to wear different clothing. I'm sure God, the creator of the entire everything, not just the universe, but the everything, if God wanted to communicate with somebody about how they dress, God would be able to do it. God wouldn't need you. And yes, I know God works through people. So if you're really saying that God came down, tapped you on the shoulder in the form of a burning bush or an angel or a flaming sword or whatever it was, and said, hey, you need to go follow Susan into the bathroom and tell her that that dress is a little too short, by all means, I'm not going to argue with you. I might think that you're on some drugs, but I'm not going to argue with you. But let's be honest, that didn't happen. It was your personal sensibilities that got offended right now, and that's why you followed that girl into the bathroom. So stick that one up your ass. But two, just because you feel like somebody is fat, just because you feel like somebody is wearing something that they shouldn't wear, you, just like everybody else, is entitled to feel how they feel. However, what you're not entitled to do is to follow that person in the bathroom, corner them, and give them your thoughts. You may not like fat people, and that's your prerogative. You may think that all fat people should be wearing tarps and sheets and should cover every inch of themselves up until they get to an acceptable weight. And that's your prerogative. However, what you don't get to do is go and tell them that. That's what you don't get to do. Now, if they ask for your opinion, you have all right to be 100% honest with how you feel. If they ask you, if that's your opinion, sorry about the sun, it's a glorious day. I feel like I just got born or something with that sunlight that's just popping in and out. But either way, if they ask you your opinion, by all means, be honest. Give your honest opinion because they asked for it. So if they're seeking it out and they want to know how you honestly feel about them, by all means, tell them how you honestly feel. But if they're going about their business and they felt comfortable with the outfit that they're in and they walking around or whatever, shut up. You don't need to tell them how they are. You're not in a position to judge anybody as far as how their bodies and stuff like that are looking. They didn't enter into a competition that says, hey, will you give me your opinion? None of that happened. And then the fact that you're waiting until she goes to the bathroom, like, that's a vulnerable moment for anybody. If I pull my penis out and I'm about to, let something loose, I don't want you in there. It's by invitation only to see this thing. So no, we don't need you in the bathroom telling me about anything about myself. I didn't ask. Especially not in the bathroom. I feel threatened. I feel threatened for the young lady. I'm in the bathroom. My penis is out. Stop. I know the young lady doesn't have a penis, but you understand what I'm saying. She got her hoo-ha out, was about to, before she gets accosted in the bathroom about her being fat. Like, come on now. Like, I didn't ask. I didn't ask. I didn't need your opinion. I didn't need you to come in here and tell me that I'm fat. And I think that's the thing, even though I think the world has gotten soft. And yes, I have another video out saying that we need to bring back bullying and shaming. This isn't what I'm talking about. That's not what I was talking about with the bullying and shaming. This was uncalled for. And that's what makes it so egregious. It's uncalled for. Leave that girl alone. If she wants to wear some coochie cutter shorts and whatever, let her wear it. Because she is going to be the one to deal with whatever consequence comes from it. And that consequence comes in any form. If she's going to get around her girlfriends, or girls may be like, oh my God, girl, you doing it, you look good, so on and so forth. Or she may come across that crowd that was like, you're so brave for wearing that. Or she could try to, holler at a dude, be like, ooh, I like him, built just the way you are, girl, come on, give me some of that. Or she could come across a group of dudes that's like, no. So whatever consequences she wants to deal with, she put those clothes on. That's on her. Leave her alone. You look in the mirror, because your ass was kind of chubby too, and that's the thing. That's the third thing, and that's how I'll end this. When you open your mouth to judge somebody, you invite that back on you tenfold. When you point one finger, there's 9 pointing back at you, depending on how you count fingers. But you point one finger at somebody, there's 9 pointing back at you. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Like I said, you pass that judge not, lest ye be judged yourself. There's so many different phrases about that. So, because your fat chubby ass church leader wants to go in the bathrooms and start talking about people, how about somebody corner your fat ass and start talking about them that arm waggle that's on your arms, that's jiggling all over the place. They look like you done had nothing but ham hocks and grits for breakfast for the past 50 years. How about that? How about you get your ass in the gym? Because that moo-moo that you're wearing trying to cover up your rolls ain't no better than what old girl's wearing. Just because you got something covered up don't mean that we can't see all of the jelly rolls and the biscuits that's up underneath of that. You need to keep your mouth shut before you point the finger at anybody to tell them anything about weight loss. I can understand if you were a fitness type of guru or whatever, somebody that was working out, yeah, that might make sense. Might make sense. You still don't have the right to say anything about anybody, but at least you can at least help her out because you've done the work on yourself. But if your ass is rolling around in macaroni and cheese sauce every morning, stop. You shut the fuck up. You don't get to tell anybody that they're fat. You need to go and do some crunches. You need to go take your own advice. As a matter of fact, everything that you wanted to go tell old girl, look in the mirror. Tell yourself.